Hello, welcome to Billy Ho Sports. We've got big stakes races this weekend at Monmouth Park and solid horses to handicap. We got the grade 3 Pegasus, good 3-year-old horses, uh Derby trailers, some that ran into Preakness and things of that nature, Derby horses. I am currently working on improving video quality. So the more you support my channel, the better it's going to get. The more quality, the better, obviously. So make sure you're hitting that subscribe button if you haven't done so, and hitting that like button. That's always good. Comments are welcome. Questions, hot takes, all that kind of good stuff. We got 3 races to cover, so let's get to it. All right, first race we're going to cover is race number 9 on the card. That's the Eatontown Stakes, 8.5 furlongs on the turf. We're going to start with number 1, Sacred Wish. That's trained by George Weaver. Kendrick Carmouche is the jockey. These are fillies, by the way. She made the switch to the turf last fall, instantly paying dividends, winning the Winter Memories. She's cashed in every single turf race she's ran in. Only the worst was one fourth place finish. Everything else, second and thirds. Good one. Number 2 is Embrace Me. That's Lance Rutledge, and Javier Castellano will be the jockey. Tested some grade 1 waters back in April in the Jenny Wiley, beaten badly. This is her 4th start in 2 months. Number 3 is 30 Though Kelvin. Kathleen O'Connell is the trainer. Jairo Rendon is the jockey. Won the Virginia Oaks last fall. Yielded badly in the Monroe Stakes at Gulfstream Park. Number 4 is No Show Sammy Joe. Grand Motion is the trainer. Jorge Ruiz is the jockey. She backed up her maiden win with a nice 100K in 1X score next out at Aqueduct Racetrack. Showed a really good turn of foot coming off a swift pace to close out and get the victory. Number 5 is Damaso, and that's another Kathleen O'Connell entry. She recently won at this distance and this track for 51K, and also coming off a win at Tampa Bay Downs previous to that. Number 6, Spirit and Glory. That's Robert Falcone, Joe Bravo jockey. She's finished a very strong third. If you remember the Bogey Stakes, I showed the highlights of last week when we were covering White Beam for the weekend at the Spa. And top-rated filly turf for White Beam ran second in that Just a Game Stakes last Friday. So she gave White Beam all she wanted down the stretch. Very impressive showing before Nisi Marie came and clipped them all at the end. That brings us to number 7. That's Tax Implications, trained by Chad Brown, ridden by Flavian Pratt. Recently third in the Miss Liberty, and did begin her run because it was such a slow pace early on, but was still unable to catch a girl named Charlie on a, like I said, a little bit of slower pace. But she did manage to rally for the show. I think she'd appreciate a faster pace to set her up a little better. Number 8 is Ocean Club, and that's trained by Jack Sisterson. And Fergal Lynch will be the jockey. I remember Fergal Lynch, I believe, was injured last year. Hasn't been back for very long in 2024, but he's up here. 25% first off. Sisterson claimed this horse, and he's 25% first off the claim off a win, if that makes any sense. She won the Monroe Stakes at Gulfstream Park on the lead, moderate pace. Number 5 is my man June. Chad Brown is the trainer. Vincent Chaminade will ride. She closed very hard versus a moderate pace to get the win and a 50K allowance at this track. Very impressive turn of foot from the outside, and coming on strong since making the trip over from Great Britain for the 2024 season. And number 10 is Tick, 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 Boom. Alan Bedard, trainer. Oliver Madison will ride. The Miss Liberty was a toss. She kind of got squirrely in the gate right when it broke open and didn't break at all. Basically, was done after that. But even previous to that, the Bewitched was no good either. Got beaten by 17 lengths. So I'm probably going to be out on that one. And so we're going to take a look at past performances and then finalize some selections. Okay, let's look at it here. Mile and the 16th on the turf, Eatontown Stakes, grade 3. And this is for fillies and mares 3 years old and upward. So Sacred Wish, very nice horse. The wire to wire victory on the good Aqueduct turf, solid, is moving up in class, but a bit of a compromising post position, I do believe, and not very good stakes record for Weaver. So I'm probably going to have a hard time picking this one on top. I think that if, which she is a more of a presser. So I think her best bet is not going to be trying to get out to the lead. I think nobody wanted the lead in this race, and then she just took it. So I think maybe you'll see more of the stalking style here. Maybe she'll save ground, which is a good thing. So I might end up changing my mind if you see my final selections in a minute. Embrace Me, not going to embrace her. 30 Thou Kelvin, I should say. And we've got the hot 25% Rendon jockey, eligible to improve, third off the layoff, close to the average winning speed. Kathleen O'Connell, 24%. She's one of the leading trainers so far at Monmouth. So I'd like to see a little better speed than that terrible effort in the Monroe where she yielded. So not really sure, I guess, what happened there, but was really rolling pretty good here at the previous race in April before giving away late. So probably going to pass there. No show, Sammy Joe looks pretty strong. Back-to-back wins, obviously. Running, if the pace is going to be decent, which it was here, I think she can definitely do some closing. Grand Motion. I always like Grand Motion horses on the turf. And Jorge Ruiz is off to a pretty decent start, only 6 mounts, but does have a win, 2 seconds and a third out of the 6. So that's pretty good. So I would look for that one to hit the board. Probably pass on Damaso. And then Spirit and Glory, this is the one I wanted to look at really quickly. Poor greatest stakes record for Falcone. So just 0 wins in 25 starts. So I'm probably going to pass for the win, so to speak, because I don't think a front runner gets there this time around. But I did like the 96 speed she ran here in the previous to the Bogey, and she was really, really good at in the Bogey at Aqueduct. So I just feel like the Monmouth turf is probably firmer and a little faster. And she does have a couple of good races here. It does have a win in the Miss Liberty last year here. So that's a good sign. And here's obviously Chad Brown. You can't really dismiss him on any turf race, stakes wise, and Flavian Pratt aboard. I mean, but the speed ratings just aren't there. Just hasn't really cracked a 90 yet in any of these races. So I'm kind of concerned with that. And I'm concerned with the jockey trainer combination getting bet down too far and being an overlay. So Ocean Club is interesting. Jack Sisterson, like I said, got out and ran an 88, got a couple 90s in here. So 25% trainer, first start with trainer, like I said. And interesting horse, should be out front. My man June. This one is the other Chad Brown horse. Very impressive, actually, back-to-back wins. And I know the speed is a little bit below average, but moving up in class, and I think we'll take a step forward in this race. Chased a slower pace in this mile and a 16th, but was still able to blow by him by 4 in the end. So I'm liking that, and I'm definitely passing on Tick Tick. So those are your 10 horses. Let's make some picks. So number 7, tax implement implications, looks to get a faster pace, I think, to run at, and is definitely a threat to win. 8, Ocean Club, should oblige with that faster pace, but I don't know that tax implications can catch Ocean Club on the unless it's a really fast pace. But my man June is the other Chad Brown horse, shown the ability to close hard, even if the pace is not there. If she's ready to move up in class, and I think she is, I think she's going to be my winner. Number 3, Spirit and Glory, is plenty good enough to be there as well. Number 1, Sacred Wish, I think has a tough post, but I think can save ground and maybe make a move in the turns. So I'm going to take the 9 to win and play the others in underneath. But won't be surprised if I see Spirit and Glory. I think that's the second most likely. And then Sacred Wish is up there as well. So that's going to take us into race 10, the Pegasus. And this is the 3-year-olds, the B team, so to speak, if you want to call it that. But a prep for the Haskell nonetheless. 2 slots on the line, by the way. So number 1, Tuscan Skies, trained by Todd Pletcher, ridden by Javier Castellano. Blinkers go on for Pletcher's once promising Derby trailer. Disappointed in the Wood, finished way back, but I went back and rewatched that race. He had to steady up against that. If you remember the horse deposition, the 12 horse broke down in the stretch and caused a lot of horses to have to steady around, but none of them were going to beat Resilience that day anyway. So nobody really made much of it, but I would have liked to have seen where Tuscan Sky would have finished that race if he had not been compromised that. Uncle Heavy as well, who we'll get to in a minute. Number 2 is Just Step on It, sired by Accelerate, and I'll have a funny joke on that when we get to the past performances. First victory in his fourth start back in January. Number 3 is Otello, that's sired by Curlin. Christopher Clement is the trainer. Kendrick Carmouche will ride. Made 2 stops on the Derby Trail. Holy Bull, Jeff Ruby, not very good, neither one of them, but did win the first 2 starts of his career, including a very impressive effort in the Mucho Macho Man back on January 1st. Maybe he can find that once again, because he didn't like the synthetic in the Jeff Ruby at all. So, could be a sleeper. Willie's D's, 12 to 1, looking at Lucky, is the sire. Greg Compton is the trainer. Joe Bravo is the jockey. Began his career with a victory on the turf at Delaware Park. Tried a pair of stakes races. Second in the Advent, was the best at Oaklawn. So number 5, Hades, is trained by Joe Orseno and ridden by Paco Lopez, leading jockey at Monmouth currently. Hades won the first 3 starts of his career, if you remember, and then burst on the scene with that big win in the Holy Bull, just parlaying a ultra slow pace, and but did not fare well in the Florida Derby or the Lexington Stakes, losing by large margins at both times, but has been training hard at Monmouth for the comeback. Number 6 is Uncle Heavy, 8 to 1 morning line. Robert Reed Jr. is the trainer. And Uncle, I don't know if we had a jockey for that one just yet. We'll have to see. Uncle Heavy won 3 of his first 4 starts. That Withers at Aqueduct burst on the scene was by far the biggest. He was compromised in the Wood, in my opinion, and then the Preakness was just outran in a good field. So this is a good spot for him, I think, to make a good close. Number 7 is Domestic Product. You're probably 9 to 5 favorite. Chad Brown is the trainer. Flavian Pratt will ride. Second in the Holy Bull and the win at the Tampa Bay Derby. Then very troubled trip, I guess, in the Derby, but not very good. I just don't think he's got enough early speed to keep pace if it's fast. So we'll have to see what he'll be facing, because this is one that I think will offer some pace. Is number 8, C Streak. That's 6 to 1 morning line. Eddie Owens Jr. is the trainer. Gyro Rendon will ride. Debuted at Monmouth last summer in the Smoke Glacken and finished second behind Bookham Dano, who we saw how impressive Bookham Dano was last weekend, winning the Woody Stevens. That was a 6 furlong sprint, by the way. So I think this horse might be better at the sprint, but did win in a 1.72 turn race his last out, the Long Beach, by open links, but was a slow pace. He got out front end and took it to the house. So let's look at past performances. Okay, here we go. 1.116 on the dirt. 3-year-olds and two slots for the Haskell are up for grabs. Tuscan Sky, blinkers on, and definitely not a good Wood Memorial. Had to steady at the 3/16 pole, and but the two wins before that were pretty impressive. That win actually, if you remember back, was up against Nash in the 3-horse race, and they both battled down the stretch in the slop, and Tuscan Sky prevailed. Nash went very next out and had a huge stakes victory at Oaklawn. So Tuscan Sky is going to come in with a big chance to win this race. Pletcher's doing everything right to land him in the right spot. And here's number 2, Just Step on It. And indeed, Just Step on It. Seriously. A horse with a name like Just Step on It, sired by a horse named Accelerate, and got 2 of the slowest speed figures in the race. So I just thought that was sort of amusing. Anyway, Otello is up next, and Otello, like I said, did not seem to like the distance and track at Turfway. Was very badly beaten there, and the Holy Bull, I think, for a presser, got too far back in a slow pace. So you can almost forgive these 2 races, and then that takes you right back to the Mucho Macho Man. So this is going to be a nice little sleeper pick, Otello. So keep an eye out. Willie's D's. And this one might be pretty good too. I mean, blasted off in this optional claiming 75K, 93 wire to wire by 8. But just Greg Compton not very good in the stakes arena. But Joe Bravo having a pretty good start to his meet, 19% winning. But let's see. Next one up, Hades. And Hades is another one. I call it it's kind of similar to Domestic Product, even though they run 2 different styles. Domestic Product is a closer and Hades is a front runner, but neither one of them seem to do very well unless they got a really slow pace to run at. 25 and 50 is not happening. So you're not getting this Holy Bull again. I'm sorry. And then it was -11, -13, and he got killed in the Florida Derby, and then got killed in the Lexington. So, but this one was a little bit closer, but that was a maiden optional claiming that he won easily. So I don't really know what to think. It might be overbet, in my opinion, but Uncle Heavy I like. First in Prime Power, I was kind of surprised by that. But like I said, I can forgive the Preakness, got in over his head a little bit, and it was just way too fast of a pace, 16 plus 16. In the mud as well, even though he did win in the mud and the withers, we don't really know. I mean, 126 mud starts, 16%. So definitely got the tendency to run well on and off track. But I don't believe we're going to have one. I think there may be rain in the forecast Friday, but Saturday looked pretty good. So I don't think we're going to have a off track or anything like that. But 22% non-graded stakes. So Robert Reed, he's still a pretty solid trainer. No rider as of yet. Hopefully we get a good one on there. Domestic Product. Here he is. Like I said, just too slow. The Tampa Bay win was only an 84 Brisnet number. So the Holy Bull, 91. I mean, 91, and I think Hades got a 93 for a race that should have produced a 98 or a 99 if the pace was faster. So that's the reason why I'm probably out on that. Nice 96 by C Streak in this Long Beach. Crazy Mason, it was a decent field, actually, not too bad. So we'll definitely be considering C Streak. So let's make some picks. Number 1, Tuscan Sky, I think it's going to be my best bet of the 3 races. I'm going to pick that one to win. I don't think, besides C Streak, being the other speed, not much other speed in the race. He had a rough trip in the wood, like I said, had to be steadied. I don't think either Hades or Domestic Product have the early speed. Uncle Heavy, was compromised a little bit in the same race Tuscan Sky was in the Wood. But he doesn't need to come from the clouds like he did, like in the Withers. He can come from off the pace, but just stalk like three, stalk in third. He can be 4 or 5 lengths off the pace because he's going to need to be because this is only a 990-foot stretch at Monmouth Park. So, it's not like Churchill Downs and Fairgrounds which are well over 1,100, 1,200 feet. So, also, I do like Otello, like I said, to find some of that January form he showed, and I think could offer some good value in exotics. So that will take us on to the third race. The final race that I'll cover is race 11, the Monmouth Stakes, 9 furlongs on the turf. We'll start with number 1, California Frolic, Juan Avila. The trainer, Fernando Yara. The rider, beaten by a weaker, poor speed figures, probably passing on that one. Number 2, Beatbox, is trained by Sherry DeVoe. Sammy Camacho will ride. Blown out in the dinner party, first off the layoff. Was a 4th place finisher in a grade 2 before that, and won grade 3 Fairgrounds 3 back. So potential in this one for an improvement second off the layoff. Sherry DeVoe, very good trainer with all horses, but turf as well. Number 3, Public Sector, is trained by Safi Joseph Jr. Paco Lopez will ride. Led briefly in the grade 2 Pan American at Gulfstream. That was going 12 furlongs. So a little bit of cutback should improve his chances. I really like this one in the race the more I looked at it. So when we get into past performances, we'll take a closer look. Number 4, Grand Sonata, Todd Pletcher, Javier Castellano combined. Closed for a second place finish in his first off the layoff. Pletcher's always really good in the second off the layoff. 4th in the Fort Lauderdale Derby, 4th in the River City. Might appreciate a firmer turf since his last 4 races have been either on good or yielding turf. So that's what I anticipate we'll get. Number 5 is Siege of Boston, James Toner. Trainer, Jorge Ruiz, rider. Made a decent try in the grade 1 turf classic at Churchill Downs on Derby Day. 2nd in the Canadian turf previous to that. Has been cash and checks most of his career and does have a sharp workout leading up to this one. Number 6 is Adamo, Chad Brown, Flavian Pratt. Just a no-show in her last 3 races. And now coming off a 3-month layoff to drop down here. Does have good vibes at Monmouth, last year's United Nations grade 1 winner. His only grade 1 win. And you really can't overlook Chad Brown on the turf. If this horse is like 15-1, be on the lookout for crashing the board somewhere along the way. Kind of like what one of the turf horses did to us last week. Ice Chocolat. That's the one. Had to lead and just had extra horse and just head scratchers. Anyway, number 7, Fort Washington, Shug McGahee, Kendrick Carmouche. Not much in his last 2, far back versus weaker, poor speed figures. Number 8, Tawny Port, Chris Clement is the trainer. Jairo Rendon will ride. Went 9.5 furlongs in the Man of War Stakes at Keeneland, 4th by 9 lengths. 3rd by a neck in the Pan Am Turf. Before that last race was knocking on the door. So I think this could be the spot for Tawny Port to score. Number 9 is Running B. Chad Brown and Vincent Chaminade will ride. 3rd in the dinner party. Won an allowance race before that. Previous was a 3rd in the grade 3 Tampa Bay. Could not hold on the soft turf in the dinner party, so a firmer turf will add to his chances. So let's look at the past performances. Okay, so we're out on California Frolic. Beatbox. I feel like doing some beatboxing right now. Anyway, the 72 in the dinner party had a bit of the head scratcher because the 95 was really peaking here in the late summer, or I mean late winter, early spring. So don't know really what to think. Could surprise at decent odds. So we'll be on the lookout for that one. Macho Man, Sammy Camacho is the rider. Public Sector, this is the one I was telling you that I think I might be interested in. And I guess won't go overlooked when you look and see the 100 Brisnet number, which is probably somewhere around a 97 buyer. Out on front, and then just could not hold the line at a mile and a half. So, logic would dictate if it's a shorter distance, but that's not always the case. But fairly honest pace in that race. So, and runs a very fairly honest pace and can, when called upon. So Paco Lopez leading jockey, and Safi Joseph is just definitely a good stakes trainer and really good 40 to 90 days away. So be on the lookout. Grand Sonata, Todd Pletcher, Javier Castellano. This one definitely second off the layoff, 25% second off the layoff. Was beaten by a weaker, but did close to second, going a mile on a good surface. Like I said, remember the last four, good yielding, and then you get back to a firm mile and an eighth, and was a winner by a neck. So back to a firm turf could really help this one out, Grand Sonata. This is a bit of a wide open turf race, so you will see me spreading. Siege of Boston is someone third in prime power. I think I did end up excluding in my final because of the speed ratings. I think the lower speed and the poor graded stakes record for the trainer, and just not there for me. I usually really like connections when I'm looking at these turf races, and they just don't have it for this one. But this one does. Adamo, Chad Brown, Flavian Pratt. They combine for a lot of winning races and runs nothing but 90s here recently, even though they're getting killed. But these are all grade ones. So we're dropping down here to grade three. So be mindful of that. And the United Nations, it is a grade one win. Has run hundreds in the past, 98 in the grade one here, and just really just can't. Nation's Pride. Set Piece, August Rodin, Warm Heart. That's competition. Nobody in this. So that really, I keep an eye on this one. It might go off as a favorite. So I have no idea. But Fort Washington, pass. Here's Tawny Port. Definitely a solid horse. Competes in grade twos all day long. Ben Ali, Essex, and grade threes down here. Did make the switch to the turf. Was that last July? So maybe just finding his legs on the turf. So Running Bee, English Channel, Chad Brown, Chaminade is not too bad. 15% right now, 4 wins and 27 starts. But beaten favorite on like I said, it was slow, soft turf. That's what that's called. And just couldn't really hold out. Definitely better on good to firmer turf. Has got some wins, but not super classy. But the pedigree is there, the training is there. So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised, but I think I'm going to have to pass on this one. So let's see what we got. I was looking at number 8, Tawny Port, for the win, and spreading out underneath for like a trifecta, maybe a part wheel or something like that. I like public sector, like I said, and I won't be shocked, like I said, if Adamo surprises with a good effort here. Has been running against way better horses and could drop down in the competition, could allow him to get up. Running Bee, like I said, has the might be bet down too much for me. So I am going to be playing those 3 and what you see on your screen, and maybe a few might change my mind. We'll have to see come race day. But that's going to do it for the stakes coverage and Monmouth Saturday. Really a nice set of 3 stakes races here. So best of luck to you, and until next time, see you soon.